Come on, guess again.
Bag it, Charlie.
The fellow I got in here is the gentleman, the one and the only
dead man.
king of the airways, Adrian Cronauer.
Hey, Peterson, get up here, man. I think we got Cronauer here.
Hey, Cronauer, say good morning, Vietnam.
Oh, give me a break, man. It's too hot for radio shit, okay?
Come on. How do we know it's Adrian Cronauer?
Okay. I'll give it the best shot.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Hi, this is Adrian Cronauer. I'm on at 6 o'clock and again at 4. Hey, we'd like to welcome you to Vietnam, the country that is more stimulating than a strong cup of cappuccino or an espresso enema. That one's coming right at you right now, but first, our fashion report from Special Forces Sergeant Earnestly Sincere.
Thank you. I think this fall, the discerning GI is going to be wearing green in the jungle. Why? Because it matches with the green. I just like the leaves, they fall upon the helmet, says yes to me.
Thank you. There's a little news flash coming your way right now. We can't afford the teletype. Here's coming for you right now. Quick news flash. Former President Eisenhower, actually cartoon character Elmer Fudd. He was quoted as saying, "Thank you, America. It was fun being president." Also, Gina Lollobrigida has been declared the Italian national mountain rage. Thank you, Gina. Look out. I don't see the sun. One little game show while we're waiting, and if who can tell me who sang the song My Guy? Hi, where are you from?
Boston.
Boston, you know who sang the song My Guy?
Yeah, shit, I can't think of it.
Ah, thank you for playing! Yeah, shit, I can't think of it. That's right. You don't win the case of fish balls and lizard testicles. Thank you for playing anyway. Here it is right now. Hey, what's your name?
Patrick O'Malley.
O'Malley. I don't know. I'm just so happy. I'm O'Malley. Pretty good. I don't know. It's the Irish boy. I'm just so full of semen. I haven't gotten laid yet. I'm sitting out there. I'm the Catholic boy, and I don't know when I'll be getting laid. I'm just going off to Vietnam. Where are you from?
From the village, New York.
From the village? Well, nice to have you here. Nice to have you here in Vietnam. Obviously, you just said, well, fuck it, I'll join the army and be with people in green. A special thing to do. Hey, what's your name?
Jimmy Wilkes.
Jimmy Wilkes. Where are you from, Jimmy?
I'm also New York.
Oh, two boys joined together. Hey, he said, well, I got drunk, man. All of a sudden, I went for a tattoo. Next thing you know, I'm on a fucking truck. What happened? Well, baby, I don't know what's going down. But you're both from New York. Nice to have you here. Like you just like hanging out. You're headed north. Where are you going to?
Not trained.
Yeah, you gotta be careful, Jack. That's some heavy stuff up there. That's like Newark after dark. You gotta watch out. There's some heavy shit going down, baby. You feel like George Wallace campaigning in Harlem. Hi, have you seen my face? Get your ass out of here. You gotta watch it. What type of music you like? You like Little Anthony? You like Little Anthony?
I like James Brown better.
You like James Brown better? Yes, sir. And the Stones. Or you like Mick Jagger? Mick Jagger, right. Do you think he looks like a photo negative of Little Richard, or am I crazy? And here, I know. All right. Good man. I don't know whether, oh my God, these lips, my God, they're moving. I'm going to flap my eyebrows to death. Look out, I'm singing, everybody. I'm singing. Wow, get out of here. Watch out. All right. Where are you from? Where are you from?
I'm from Cleveland, man.
Cleveland.
Yeah.
Obviously, Vietnam's not that much of a change for you then.
Oh, no.
You guys take care of yourself, because you all look like, I don't know what's going to happen here.
How many of you have seen the movie Good Morning Vietnam? Well, that does wonders for my ego. Probably doesn't hurt my bank account either. But it's been an interesting experience over the last 20 years or so, because of the ubiquity of the film on late night television. My 15 minutes of fame has stretched out over more than 20 years. But it's strange because a lot of people know the name, but not many people know the face, which leads to some interesting things happening. For example, I was at a reception last night here in Washington, and they give you these little sticky tags with your name on them. My wife calls them nerd tags. And as I was walking past a group, somebody recognized the name, because I heard one person say to the other, "That's the guy they made that movie about, Good Morning Vietnam." The other person said, "No, that can't be him. That guy doesn't look a bit like Robin Williams." And if that wasn't bad enough, another person said, "Well, of course not. That's Judge Bork." But the fame is starting to fade just a little bit, and I was made aware of that a couple of months ago when I was having lunch with a friend who works at the executive office, the Eisenhower Executive Office building next to the White House. And I went in around noontime. I walked up to the guard sitting at the desk, and I said, "Would you please tell Mr. So-and-so I'm here?" And he said, Yes, sir, how do you spell your last name? And I read it, I said it to him, and he typed it into the computer and looked at the screen and said, Adrian. I said, yes. He said, the Adrian Cronauer? And I said, yes. And he said, you mean from Dead Poets Society? Well, it could have been worse. He could have said Mrs. Doubtfire. So. But having had this notoriety over the past number of years, I've learned that there are a lot of things people always want to know about. And the number one question is always, how much of that movie was real? Well, those of you who have been in the military know. If I had done half the stuff that Robin Williams did in that movie, I'd still be in Leavenworth this morning instead of Washington. There's a lot of Hollywood exaggeration and outright imagination. To go through a quick listing, let's see. Yes, I was a disc jockey in Vietnam. I think, anything else? Oh yes, I did teach English during my off-duty time. No, I did not teach my class how to swear and use New York street slang. And no, I was not teaching because I was trying to meet this particularly beautiful Vietnamese girl. At least not one particular beautiful Vietnamese girl. I was not in a Jeep that was hit by a landmine. I did not get lost in the jungle trying to avoid the Viet Cong. I was not thrown out of Vietnam. I stayed for my full one-year tour and was honorably discharged, thank you. None of the characters in the film are based on actual people for legal reasons, like invasion of privacy and slander. On the other hand, if you name any character in the film, I could think of a half a dozen people that I knew during my 4 years in the Air Force, and you probably could too. Let's see, anything else? I did start each morning, each program by yelling, "Good morning, Vietnam." And I found out when I went out into the field to do interviews that it was not unknown on a particularly bad day that I would yell, "Good morning, Vietnam." And some of the troops would turn to their radios and yell the GI equivalent of, "Get stuffed, Cronauer." And on one occasion, a guy picked up his M16 and blew away his radio. But that shout continued after I left. The fellow who took over the morning show from me, an Army specialist by the name of Kramer Hawes, he kept the same format and the same sign-on, and it became a tradition with each subsequent morning man. And now I'll go to a veterans event, and the man will come up to me and say, "Oh, I used to listen to you every morning." "Really? When were you there?" "Oh, I was there in 65 and 7, or I was there in 69 and 70. Well, see, I was there in 65, 66. But what they remember hearing is that "Good morning, Vietnam." People will say, "Are you as funny as Robin Williams?" Well, I've amply demonstrated in the last half hour that I'm nowhere near as funny as Robin. I mean, think about it. If I were half that funny, I'd be out in Hollywood going nanu nanu and making $1 million. But in one respect, I think I was a better DJ than Robin. And a perfect example of that is the sign-on. What he did was just a rising crescendo of "Good morning, Vietnam," which is not the way it was really done. In reality, you stress the word "good" for a very practical reason, because if you're a morning DJ, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You are going to oversleep. And when that happens, you come tearing into the station at the very last moment, and you're staggering around, half asleep, half dressed. You don't have any records pulled. You don't know where your headphones are. You haven't put in your contact lenses. You don't have any tapes set up. You don't know where it's just chaos. And as you walk through the studio door, you hear the newsman saying, "That's the latest from the Armed Forces Radio Newsroom. Next news in 1 hour." Now you've got to do something. So as you try and pull some records and find your headphones and get things all set up, you turn on the microphone and you say, Vietnam. That's the way we really did it. Thank you very much. In one respect, I think I was a better DJ than Robin. And a perfect example of that is the sign-on. What he did was just a rising crescendo of "Good Morning Vietnam," which is not the way it was really done. In reality, you stress the word good for a very practical reason, because if you're a morning DJ, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You are going to oversleep. And when that happens, you come tearing into the station at the very last moment, and you're staggering around, half asleep, half dressed. You don't have any records pulled. You don't know where your headphones are. You haven't put in your contact lenses. You don't have any tapes set up. You don't know where it's just chaos. And as you walk through the studio door, you hear the newsman saying, "That's the latest from the Armed Forces Radio Newsroom. Next news in 1 hour." Now you've got to do something. So as you try and pull some records and find your headphones and get things all set up, you turn on the microphone and you say, Vietnam. That's the way we really did it. Thank you very much.
94.5 Cool FM, and that's Ray Charles, as we take a couple of minutes out every afternoon around this time to say thank you to those that have served our country, those that have served in the past, those serving right now, and as I always like to say, especially those in harm's way. We keep you in our thoughts and prayers. Please come home safely. And as we say thank you for serving, I have a very special man I'd like to personally say thank you for your service to our country. Adrian Cronauer is here with us. He's the guy that Rob Williams played in Good Morning Vietnam. Adrian, thanks for stopping by.
Jack, thank you so much for letting me talk to your listeners, because I have an important message, but it's also always good to get back into the saddle and back into a studio and bring back some of my old memories of when I was sitting where you're sitting right now.
Well, now tell us, why are you in town? There's a very important meeting coming up on Saturday. You want to tell us about the meeting? That's what you're here for,
Well,
right?
Jack, I have been working for the past 6 years with the Prisoner of War and Missing in Action Office at the Pentagon. Some of the most rewarding work I've ever done in my life. And one of the things we do that is probably the most rewarding part of my job is what we call family updates. Now, once a month, we will pick a major metropolitan area. This month, it's Phoenix. We will rent a hotel room, ballroom, on a Saturday. We invite anybody from about a 350-mile radius who is a relative of anybody who's still missing from any of our wars. Vietnam, Korea, World War II, First Desert Storm, anybody who is a relative of the missing. We want them to come in, and it's at the Hilton Hotel out at the airport. We start at 8 in the morning with registration, and the sessions start at 9 o'clock. And we bring in representatives of our units from all over the world. We spend the day giving them a PowerPoint presentation on what we do and how we do it. Then at the end of the day, we give them a printout of whatever information we might have about their own particular missing loved one. We let them talk with a area expert, like if, let's say, they're missing from Vietnam, we'll let them talk one-on-one with a Southeast Asia analyst. And some of these people, Jack, this is the first time in years, maybe even decades, that they've heard anything about their missing loved one. Even if we're only able to give them a tiny bit of new information. Right. If it helps them move a little closer to closure, it means so much to them, and they are so grateful. And of course, we always get recharged and revitalized and rededicated when we see how much it means to the family.
I was just going to say, how do you feel at the end of the day after going through that? It must just do something for you, just to...
It does get a little bit emotional at times.
I would imagine it would. Now, this is going to be Saturday.
This will be Saturday.
It's at 8 o'clock.
Holiday Inn.
All right, Phoenix Airport Hilton, and...
Pardon me, Hilton, yes.
Yes, it's at Phoenix Airport Hilton, from what I'm looking at here, starting at registration at 8 o'clock. Now, do most people know about this? What if somebody's just finding out now? Can they just come?
Absolutely. If you are... Now, this is just open to family members, but if you are a family member, and that doesn't just mean father, mother, sister, brother, it means even a cousin, or a grandparent, or a grandchild, do come in, because we want you to know what the government is doing, how we're going. We have over 100 people in Washington, 500 other people throughout the world who work full-time on just trying to account for America's missing.